Hi, and welcome back to Everything I've Never Said. This is Lakshata, and today I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite things to talk about, the internet. So, lately I've been going through this phase where I watch so many video essays on this very specific topic, and I have found a special interest for understanding parasocial relationships because they are so common and they're so prevalent and they're so easy to just put under the rug or to conceal from others. Speaking of parasocial relationships, a parasocial relationship is basically an unrequited, one sided obsession towards a public figure or a celebrity or anyone who just doesn't actually know you or has any sort of acquaintance to you. And honestly, I believe that everyone has been in one of these at some point in their life to different extents because as teens or preteens, we all had that one celebrity that we were extremely obsessed with. Would we claim that we'd do anything for? We followed them vehemently and we wanted to know more about them all the time. We used to get super defensive of them if somebody said anything negative about them. We used to follow them thoroughly. We used to just read all the conspiracies and read all the news articles. It's a very common event of your life which I feel like everyone goes through in simpler, funnier words. It's just a canon event. So there's celebrities and fan pages. Usually it's teenagers who run those. And then there's celebrities and people who are just obsessed to an unhealthy level. People who are stalkers, people who are straight up invasive. And I feel like because of the internet and social media, which enables us to be so much closer to these figures than we could have been like 15 years ago, the line between being in awe of someone, looking up to someone, wanting to be like someone, and being hostile and creepy has been almost blurred. Now, I feel like one of the most common examples is the K pop industry, and no matter how much you try to ignore this, it is true that the K pop industry is especially curated to make listeners and fans feel closer to the performers and artists. No matter how hard your favorite Korean singers try to act like they have no role in the development of these extreme obsessive parasocial relationships, no matter how innocent and unaware they act, it's a part of their job to make their millions of listeners feel very close to them or feel like they're in any sort of proximity to them. This is what has gotten them a lot of bacon. Now, it's not exactly the listener's fault if they develop a false belief that they have a more emotional or deeper relationship with a celebrity, because that is their whole marketing strategy. I don't even think these industries would have been able to get so far in Western countries where there's a huge language barrier when it comes to this music or such a cultural difference. Because they are like completely not connected to Western culture. It's a whole language that most of the K pop listeners don't understand. So, the whole reason behind the whole Korean bands and singers have on Western people, especially their target audience, which is young teens and preteens, is because of this make believe proximity between the artists and the fans. So, like, K pop and parasocial relationships is the most prevalent form of such dynamics I think there is today because I don't even think I have to explain it. There's a ton of weird incidents. We have a lot of fetishizing and fantasizing cases. We have a lot of first hand incidents that have happened, and all of this is just a Google search away to a point where they have a whole term for these fans who are obsessive, which I don't know, or unfortunately, but I think it started from an S, I don't know. And the target audience for all of this is usually preteens and adolescents, which could be a very unintentional choice of demographic. but at the same time could be an elaborate strategy because it's easier to target young minds in most cases. And I feel like that is how social media or stan culture has even formed a huge base in our lives, because it feeds off of targeting adolescents and preteens who are new to such dynamics, who are new to such thinking. And obviously, when they see millions of people thinking and acting the same way as them, just being as obsessed as over this one particular band as you are, you're never gonna doubt it. You're never gonna think it's not normal. Because as a society, our definition of normal is limited to what everybody does. So I don't really think that it's entirely wrong on the celebrities or their labels or managers' behalves to use or understand these social paradigms because it gets them views and money and likes and clout. And in the end, that is the goal. So if they've got to have it, they're going to have it one way or another. The internet just acts as a catalyst to these practices and thought cycles because you love a socialite, you follow them, you follow their life thoroughly on many platforms. You read about them, you follow fan pages, you see them in the news, you get extremely defensive if somebody is saying something hateful about them, you cannot listen to anybody not liking them. And the internet is somewhat what enables us to do almost every single one of these things. If you think about it, in the absence of the internet, say 20 years ago, where there were 2000 pop star, there were there was the whole 2000s pop culture emerging at such a significant level, there was still so many cases where even in the absence of social media, even when the only way you could have any sort of physical or emotional contact with a celebrity was except maybe watching them on TV or buying a CD or running into them across the street. And even then, parasocial relationships were so prevalent, dare I say, so you can only imagine how it is and how it could possibly get now. So when we talk about parasocial relationships on the internet, we feel like these are limited to celebrities, these are limited to people with a following of millions, or wealthy people, or influential people. However, amongst this whole issue, we have a different aspect as well. Because the way we have access to see anything posted on the internet, we also have the access to post anything. So it's not like somebody with 10 million followers can post something and you with 10 cannot. And I feel like that is a more dangerous issue because most of these people who fall victim to these parasocial relationships or online hatred from completely unrelated people are people who have no fame whatsoever. They're just everyday people like you and me. I feel like this is like best explained by an example. So basically, there was this recent case of a 30-second clip that blew up on TikTok where two girls were basically being mean to this other girl at, I believe, a baseball game while she was trying to take like pictures for a social media or something. And they were doing that typical high school bully shit, like booing them or making faces or whispering to each other. So, normally, as anyone who wanted to get back at someone, the girl posted a video on TikTok. And I don't know if she or anybody expected it, but the algorithm pushed it, and that video blew up, and suddenly, like, it had millions of views. And obviously, everybody was mad at the two girls for being mean and bullies towards her. Now, it's not like it was right on their part to laugh or fool around at somebody else's expense. Bullying is not morally or ethically ever correct. However, we should keep in mind that these were two common, normal people who have no platform online whatsoever. And believe me when I say it, people were apparently mad enough to not just threaten them or hate them, but to also find their literal addresses and track them down, dox their business, force them to come online to explain everything. And these were two like women who were previously nobodies. Later, those girls they came online and they talked about how they were booing a man staring at them, and obviously no one believed it because the video made it very obvious that they were clearly making fun of the girl trying to take pictures. And I don't think people realize that even though what they did was wrong and they shouldn't have done it and they should be getting some sort of consequences for it, they as internet users are not the right person to play God and try to cater to this and try to put them through the consequences they deserve, which were actually very exaggerated. Because it literally put their careers in danger, their families in danger. It put them at in a very unsafe situation. And I feel like social media's response to this was extremely unfair. Because whatever stupid shit someone may have done, a barely minute long video clip on TikTok isn't worth enough or does not give you enough context to actually understand what's happening or to judge people for their whole characters. Because even if in this situation, the girls actually intended to make fun of her for doing whatever she was, most cases that's not the case. Most cases, if I like tape something and I put some text over it, which is completely my point of view of a situation, and I don't really know what's actually happening in the other person's head, and I post it online, people are not getting any sort of access to what the other person's point of view is. And the most basic step to resolving is to understand both sides. The biggest issue with these short video apps, like we have Reels and we have TikTok and we have YouTube Shorts, even, is that it puts you in this out of context, lack of knowledge situation. And it's about people who are not even remotely related to you. We spend hours of our days to try to to watch other people's lives, people who are not even remotely related to us. And I genuinely believe that the amount of emotions you go through within 1 hour of watching TikToks is not a healthy amount of emotions to go through in that time period. Because you watch three happy videos and the video next to them is a sadder one, then you immediately feel all down, and the next one is funny and then you're all laughing and gassed up, and then the next one is extremely infuriating and then you're angry, and the next one is kind of relatable and then you start feeling shitty about your life, and the next one is about somebody having so much fun and you feel guilty for sitting at home, and then there's another one which is completely out of context, a random person's life situation, and now the horses in your mind are running and you have to figure how to help this person, how to give them advice. It's all just too much. When you have 30 seconds to analyze, understand, feel, process, and let go of an emotion, I don't think that's ever going to be very healthy for you. And as we talk about these people who are the ones in these videos, not just the ones watching them, normally it should take way more than a 30-second clip of somebody to declare that they're not a good person or an asshole to somebody. Because I personally wouldn't want to be judged over one thing I did, one thing I said, a stupid joke that I made, or something embarrassing that happened to me in school, and if somebody records it and posts it, and now everybody thinks I'm a joke and everybody thinks I'm stupid. I don't want that one singular video to dictate my life for such a long time just because it accidentally blew up and now millions of people have seen it. And even if somebody does something shitty and it kind of gains momentum on the internet and now a lot of people are hearing about it, invading people's privacy, trying to find their home and office addresses, doxing their businesses, trying to end their literal careers, is nowhere near justified. Because people go on with posting embarrassing stuff from others' lives, embarrassing stuff from their own lives. Some even stoop so low to post their children's lives online. And consent kind of goes in the dustbin in such situations. And obviously, as someone who has never had any exposure to internet fame, they never think it's gonna blow up. They never think that their video is gonna gain like a million views. Like, I've been posting hundreds of videos, none of them ever got over 500 views. This one very embarrassing video of somebody else I post gets 10 million. And before I know it, the whole world is making fun of that person for something they did for 30 seconds. I do believe it's absolutely not fair. Because in most cases, yes, most of these stupid videos never gain viewership. But in the rare cases when they do, it ends up ruining lives. It ends up making things so much harder for people involved. And this is also like an aspect of parasocial relationships on the internet, where we feel like we have any say in other people's lives whatsoever. Because we see something, somebody having an opinion, we immediately want to like diss them if our opinions aren't the same on the topic. We immediately want to make fun of somebody if we notice even a minor flaw about something. We want to criticize everything somebody does. It's definitely chronically online behavior. But I feel like trying to ruin somebody's lives for just like that 15 minutes of fame thing you're getting is not justified. And even as a viewer, I watched Gabby Bell's video on this, and I agree with her when she said that it's okay to look at this stuff and it's okay to laugh at it, but it's important to scroll past it. I don't understand how somebody would look at something stupid somebody else did and make it their life's goal to like be so petty that you make sure they get the consequence for something they didn't even do to you. So trying to mess with people's life or self-esteem or privacy or making a complete joke out of them, it's never going to be justified. And it makes no sense to dox, threaten, or track people down for something that you have barely any context about. And the issue with these apps, especially the ones which are like gaining so much momentum, like, Reels or TikToks or short video apps where you just scroll through these videos every 30 seconds, is that there is just not enough time to completely elaborately explain a situation. But that also somehow depends on how you manage your time, because if you are a certain YouTuber who has had serious allegations about grooming children and you decide to sing a 10-minute song about it, that is just completely something you are accountable for. So it's not exactly like you cannot give context to people. It's just how you understand you should do it. And as a user or as a consumer of content, it's important to understand that other people's lives are not our business. And that could be a random person on TikTok or a A-list celebrity. In the end, to those popular people we feel like our lives depend on, we are just one follower in their list of millions. And to other random people on the internet, we are just a username and a profile picture. So I think that is pretty much it for today. The key is to just watch something. If you don't like it, scroll past it. If you love it, maybe appreciate the person. And forget about it. Forget about it forever and not think about it again. Because social media is, in the end, it's a mirage and it's a hoax, and most of the stuff that you see on there is absolutely not true and absolutely lacks context, and very valid context. Okay, so yeah, have a great week ahead. This was Lakshita from Everything I've Never Said. I'll see you someday. Love you. Bye.